Welcome into the back half of Dollars and Cents, where we help you make sense out of all of life's decisions involving your dollars. One of Central Florida's longest-running radio programs, coming to you on a host of stations throughout the Central Florida region. Also happen to be one of the top 25 financial planning podcasts on the World Wide Web. So make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Once you're there, make sure you subscribe as well. That way you'll get notified as to when we upload new content. If you have any trouble finding us, well, then just go to our website, nelsonfinancialplanning.com, and look for the various icons in the upper right-hand corner. Once you find them, click on them, and you will get immediately connected over to the channel that you are looking for. My name, of course, is Joel Garris. I'm a certified financial planner, certified financial fiduciary at Nelson Financial Planning, where we've got a great team of people. We talk about them a lot on the program. They also join me as well from time to time. So joining me on this week's show is Rob Field, a fellow certified financial fiduciary and National Social Security advisor. Rob, we got a lively conversation going on here about some of those things that people need to be thinking about that impact the quality of their retirement.
Right. We know the investment part is important. We talked about how you need to socialize. We talked about how you need to stay healthy. But we also want to talk about how you get to enjoy the money that you've saved for retirement and how you get to share it with other people.
Certainly that's important. We talked a little bit about, sort of that gift exclusion before the break. But there's some other things that you can do for your loved ones as well. And one of the options has to deal with college education and helping to prepare for paying for that high expense of college. Right, Rob?
Right. You're talking about the 529 plan,
right.
Which, it's kind of a tax-deferred way to pay for your future education expenses. Kind of follows the same gift exclusion rules, but the money that goes in, it comes out tax-free as long as it's used for educational purposes. What's nice is as it expands on, if you set it up for one child and that child does not go off to college, you could shift it over to another child. If you still are sitting on some money in a 529, you could shift it down to a grandchild. And then now, next year, 2024, you could actually convert it over into a Roth?
Correct. The remaining balance. Yep. Nope. That is true. That is going to be new for next year, 2024. And that's a great point about the 529s is that what makes them unique is that there are other educational savings vehicles that sort of require the money to get used by the time the beneficiary is 30.
Right.
And that's not the case in a 529. You can change the beneficiaries, you can leave it alone, or you can even now, starting next year, convert it to a Roth. Another thing that we hear folks talking a lot about when we think about this legacy component of thinking about retirement is all about is the notion of doing some Roth conversions. And I think we're hearing more and more about that because that becomes a real option that people are considering when looking at their retirement accounts.
Right. So you've got your traditional IRA. It's been completely tax deferred. At some point when you pull that money out, it's going to be taxable. So doing a little bit of preparation, you might think, let me pay a little of those taxes now instead of later on. So convert part, or as much as you and your accountant would agree upon, convert that over to the Roth, take care of some of the tax issues now, put it off. You don't have to really worry about it as much, or it won't be as big of an issue later on.
Certainly an interesting concept for the next couple of years when you have much lower tax brackets, 12%, 22% tax bracket. Those are all going away in 2026 because those lower rates all wind up sunsetting as well. And I think the other issue, when we start to hear a little bit more about the conversion conversation, is that the rules on inheriting a retirement account have certainly changed a lot over the course of just the past few years. So if you're inheriting a retirement account after January 1 of 2020, then you've got a pretty tight timetable in which you've got to take all of that money out.
Right. Years past, before that rule changed, if I had an IRA and then I passed away, person inherits it, they keep it. They might have to take out a little money every so often, but nothing dramatic. It's now said not only do you got to take out a required minimum, you got to basically liquidate the account completely in a 10-year period. So if you're leaving a large sum of money to somebody in an IRA, which is going to be taxable, once they receive it, they got to get it out in 10 years, that's a lot of income that's taxable coming to them in a short period of time.
That is very true. And so that's one of those things where the more things change, the more it requires a little bit of thinking and a lot of planning to try and make sure that your legacy winds up being the one that you want, and most importantly, in the most tax efficient manner. And then the other thought when we think about legacy and who to leave things to, let's not forget there is an exercise that you probably want to be doing every couple of years, if not more often than that.
Right. You're referring to kind of keep an eye on the beneficiaries listed on an account. The great thing about having beneficiaries on your account is there's no argument about how that money is going to flow. But as times change, your family grows, people come, people go, you want to change percentages, you want to always review the beneficiaries listed and just make sure that if something happens, it's specified who gets what percentage or what charity gets a percentage. The family identity changes, you might want to make sure that you still got it lined up. So, and it's a pretty easy process. Just give us a call. We tell you what you got, we discuss what it is, and we can rearrange them. You should review that at least, I'd say twice a year, but at least once a year.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So that kind of covers that social, the health, and the legacy components. I guess we would be remiss if we didn't spend a little time talking about the financial aspect of a retirement as well. That is certainly important, and fundamentally it starts with budget, right, Rob? I mean, you and Christina did a great show this past summer talking about that concept. To refresh our listening audience a little bit, their memory as to the gist of that show, if you will.
Right. Back in June, Christina and I did a show. And again, we've been continuing to do these type of shows that aren't just specifically the financial side of investing and in retirement. You got to kind of think in terms of some of the other subjects that we brought up. So we took the word budgets, we made it into an acronym and just basically said each letter has a special meaning. So we said B is for balance, and what we were thinking was balancing your income that you think you're going to get versus the expenses you might be perceiving. We did U for understanding, kind of understanding what is your current situation, and then also have an understanding of what's your investment knowledge. D would be for debt, your short-term debt, your long-term debt. Make sure we're managing that correctly. G was for goals. What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Make sure they're going to play with each other well. Expectations was the letter E. So what are you expecting from your investments as far as performance? And expectations, how about longevity? That comes into play. Making a decision of how you're going to address something will be based on how long you think you're going to be walking the face of the earth. So we talk a lot about longevity. We said T was for transition. We've done various shows, and we're talking about it again today, transitioning from work to retirement. It's not just an overnight step. You got to really plan ahead, think about all the moving parts. And then we said S was for solutions. So now you know you've got some issues you want to address. What are the solutions? What are your investing options? How about your budget? Review. Sit down with your financial advisor and make sure that everything is in line.
I'll tell you, the budget thing, and people think, oh, I'm going to get to retirement and, I won't need to budget. But it's important there because there's a variety of things where you may miss them as part of your expenses. And we talk about this all the time when it comes to healthcare, right? That you're going to have to pay for that out of pocket and account for that. When it comes to taxes, well, you typically have those taken out of the paycheck, so you don't necessarily have to account for that, but you do in retirement. And then lastly is, of course, my favorite, which is the free time expense.
Right. If you work long hours every day, then the weekend comes along. Sometimes you just want the weekend to get caught up and refresh your body and mind. If you're in retirement, you don't have to work all day long. So now you're got some free time, and now it could be fishing and I'm going to buy a boat, or no, I want to buy a large boat and spend weekends on it, or no, I want an RV and I'm going to travel, or the list goes on and on and on. The more time you have, the more items you can buy to kind of fulfill that time.
That free time expense, that's another little budget item as well. And that was one of the things in the book, Next Gen Dollars and Cents, that we thought was important. So if you're familiar with our book, and if not, then we're obviously continuing to offer complimentary copies of the book. Just reach out to us through our website, Nelson Financial Planning, and request your complimentary copy. You got to do it before December 31, okay? Otherwise, you wind up going to Amazon, paying those guys $14.99. The reality is that in the book, there's a variety of tools, one of which allows you to create your own budget, where you can scan the QR code, download the budget, and then save that on your own computer. We're going to take a break and continue the conversation here on Dollars and Cents after these messages.